Good evening, everybody. Chris McDonald with you on location tonight from the beautiful city of San Antonio, Texas, deep in the heart of Texas tonight. As many of you know, Caleb is graduating this week and from the U.S. Air Force boot camp, and they've sort of postponed it a day because of the weather. It'll be on Thursday instead of tomorrow. As of right now, we do have to go over there to the base tomorrow to see him in the morning. But we'll keep you posted on things. But we did want to come on tonight. We're sorry about we couldn't come this morning. But we've got the one and only Leslie Milwee with us. Leslie, it's so good to see you tonight. How are you, dear?
You too, and if I didn't say it already, many congratulations for Caleb. I know you're so proud of him.
Oh,
You should be.
I am. I can't wait to see him and see him in his airman uniform tomorrow and Thursday too. And no matter what the schedule is and the length of drive, it's been worth it. And looking forward to a couple of days here in Texas. And you know, I'm always excited to come to Texas. I love this state and got a lot of listeners here, a lot of friends, and hope to run into some McFile folks before we leave. Yeah, it's going to be a good week, and then we got a Brothers Weekend coming up this weekend in Atlanta, and so it's going to be a good week of family and
Have fun.
so forth. Have fun.
Yeah.
Anyway, listen, good to see you tonight. I wanted to run a few things by you, and we won't keep you too terribly long, but I do want to get your take. There's been so many developments since the weekend. We had the absolute shocking news Sunday night that came down that Senator Lindsey Graham had died at 71 years old,
71.
which is very young. And you know that's young. My dad died at 78. I'm 61, so me and Lindsey were about 10 years apart, and that's nothing on a speck of time. I mean, 10 years goes by like a blink of the eye. It looks like his aorta erupted, had a heart failure evidently. I know there's a lot of conspiracy out there about whether he was killed, and I'm not going to sit there and say I don't believe some of it because look, the Iranians had threatened his life, and he got back from Ukraine, and all this happened, and it wouldn't be the first time that Russia or China or North Korea or anybody, Iran for that matter, has poisoned people. And I'm not saying that we know that for fact. I'm just saying that is one of the theories that are out there. But we're going to stay with what we know, and that is that it was a medical issue. We'll see. I'm pretty sure President Trump, if it was another administration in the White House, I would be probably concerned they'd hide it. I don't think Trump has anything to gain or lose by hiding what happened to Lindsey Graham. But what you're taking on him, I've got mixed feelings about him. I've never been a huge fan, but at the same time, I don't share this attitude I see on the internet that he was a sellout to the country. I believe that there were times that I think, was hoping to play both ends against the middle. He was very,
Right.
Apt about reaching across the aisle. And I hate to say this tonight, Leslie, we've gotten so toxic and we've gotten so jaded in Washington that if somebody reaches across the aisle, his own party calls them a sellout. And if you don't reach across the aisle, the other side says, well, you're just narrow-minded and you don't want to work with us. And I think both sides are wrong in that. And I think that it was admirable to a degree that he tried to work out. And I don't think Lindsey Graham was a fool. I don't think that he was naive to believe that he could work with some of these Democrats, but at least he tried. And I think overall, history's going to prove that he was a good senator. 30 years, and I will say this real quick, and I'll give it to you. His net worth, it was shocking to me when I heard this Monday. When he died, he only had a net worth of $1.7 million. And to be in the Senate for 30 years. Marjorie Taylor Greene was in the Senate for 5. Her net worth, when she left, like she did, $35 million. Go do the math. What's your thoughts on all this tonight on Leslie? We'll get some other stuff after this.
No, I think he was a servant of the people. I've always been angry since the Lindsey Grahamnesty thing. They made fun of him for trying to do that. And I think looking back, he was probably a pretty great ally, not only for the last 10 years after he got out of the presidential race. He was a true friend. He loved America. The only thing I find weird is you're 12 hours off a plane and you die.
Yeah.
I mean,
No kidding.
that I find odd. That is, was he exhausted? Maybe. What do you think?
Well, I will say this. They said that he had not been doing well before this. There had been some incidents that, of course, it's not our business. I mean, look at Mitch McConnell. He's a walking vegetable, and we're not even being told the truth about him. And, evidently he had some issues, but this is, again, what leads to some of the speculation that something nefarious happened to him. And I'm not going to sit here and put my hand on a Bible tonight and tell our audience that I don't. There's a part of me that don't believe that, Leslie. Honestly, I right now I don't know. I think that, again, if it was under any other administration, I would believe that a lot quicker. I've not heard President Trump allude to any kind of nefarious thing. I do believe, though, that Lindsey Graham had enemies, and I do believe that Iranian thing that we saw over the weekend, where him, Trump, who was the other one? Musk, Laura Loomer had bullets, and even J.D. Vance. And Lindsey, he posted it. He said, "Look, a man's known by his enemies, and if the mullahs hated him, then they wanted him dead, just like they want Trump dead."
Right.
And they're not hiding it. But as far as his health goes, look, it is weird that he got off the plane and 12 hours later he was dead. But without having some kind of smoking gun right now, that's all we got. I mean, I don't know. But as I said, I've been sort of mixed. I've always been mixed on Lindsey Graham. Again, I don't think he's the devil like many people are trying to portray him. I don't think that
no, not at all.
Look. This is the thing that kills me about people. These people that are always ready to throw stones at people like Lindsey Graham that have served our government for 30 years. Their sorry backsides haven't even lifted a staple to do anything for the country. They want to complain. They want to do something that rhymes with the word witch. They want to moan and groan about our leaders, but yet they themselves will not lift a pinky to do anything to help our government and help our country. And it's despicable to me to watch these internet quarterbacks, basically trash a man's legacy. And this is what I give them a lot of credit for. There have been people that have been on Trump's bad side, and there is no hiding the fact that when in that 2016 election, him and Trump butted heads, and Trump got ugly with Lindsey Graham. But he got ugly with everybody. But Lindsey Graham and him acted like adults. And you know what they did? I hate to use this term because nowadays you say this and you get all accused of everything. They kissed and made up politically.
Absolutely.
And they both acted like adults. And that is what we so lack in D.C., Leslie. I mean, what's wrong with that?
I know. Well, I agree. And the one thing that bothers me, too, is that probably an hour before he died, he talked to Trump on the phone. And, I mean, gosh, that's just, I don't know. And I don't know what that means, but it could be complete coincidence. And Trump was briefed on the trip, and it sounded like he made some real progress. I don't think Putin's ever going to give up. I think he will take his people to the direst of places because he doesn't care. He really is about power, and that's who he is. And that's sad for the people, but I don't know.
Well, let me tell you this, and I'll say this. I am saddened for Lindsey Graham's family tonight, and I think the governor of South Carolina, McAllister, should be congratulated and applauded for his choice of Lindsey's sister to take his place until January. I thought that was a tremendous move he got with President Trump That's who President Trump suggested, and the governor went along with it. He said, I think it's a good idea. And then whoever this guy is, Fry, I think they're going to run him in the election in November because Lindsey was up for re-election. That seat should stay red in South Carolina, but all these things happen sometimes, and these left wing groups start pouring money into these races. And I warned the people of South Carolina tonight. Don't take this for granted. You better get to those polls and you better vote like you're down 30 points right now. And you better take this very seriously because, Leslie, the other thing's happening, and I'll get to McConnell in a minute, but the other thing that's happening is that we've got this leftist takeover of America. Me and you have talked for the last 2 or 3 weeks, and this thing has gotten more intense and worse every week we pass. There's another rabid left-wing radical that's being elected in these primaries, and it's like they're not winning by small margins, my friend. They're winning 70-30 and 80-20. What is going on with our country? What is happening?
That is, and they're unapologetic. I heard some girl today, and then they followed it with the guy from Minnesota. They're literal socialists and communists. They say we're going to take this. Imagine how great it's going to be to have your health care and you have rights as a human being. And to me, it doesn't even sound remotely good because I'm not that stupid. And I want to know who's voting for this. What is so bad in this country is $3 gas and inflation. Really, do you really think that's bad? I mean, that's what blows me away. Who are these people that are voting? What are they doing now for a living? Do they work?
No, they're in Mama's basement, and I'm going to say something that's going to sound a little ugly, but I admit it's this Texas air that's got me a little wired up tonight, and I can't. This is the one good thing about being in a hotel. I can't scream, so that nobody has to worry about me screaming tonight because I don't want to get my hotel neighbors knocking on my door saying, "Shut up! It's 11 o'clock." But I'll keep this calm. You asked me who's voting? A bunch of ignorant wretches, a bunch of ignorant people that know nothing of history, that know nothing about the cost of socialism, know nothing about communism. It's a bunch of kids, Leslie, that got spoiled when they were growing up, and they were told that you don't have to play by the rules, and you don't have to obey mom and daddy, you don't have to do what you don't want to do. The kids spitting in mama's face. It's these punk, entitled kids that have now grown into adults, and they think they can bring their attitudes into the real world, and they're going to be in for a rude awakening. But if the American people lay down and play around with this stuff and don't get serious about defeating it at the polls, they will win. And that is what scares me, is the apathy. And it's like this liaison attitude. Well, these are just a bunch of ignorant kids, and this is just a bunch of kids that don't know what they're doing.
Right.
They do know what they're doing. Let me interject this real quick, and I'm going to let you have it. Bill Federer said something to us the other night, and I don't know if people caught it. It was a great interview. What's happening in New York City right now, because everybody is just, I hear Fox talking about it every morning, and they're saying stuff like, well, Mandami's running all the businesses out of New York City. That's what they want them to do. They want the businesses to leave. They want conservatives to leave, because when the conservatives leave, there ain't nothing but liberals left, and they gain up and they sweep up the power. He can stay in office for 50 years. That's a communist playbook, by the way, folks. That's one of their goals. That's the Saul Alinsky playbook, and we're playing right into it by not staying and fighting.
I know, and and it's like the left coast too.
Yes, the same thing. Same thing.
They truly, if you have a business, if you're Silicon Valley, I just read an article today about Seattle. Even those people that work for these billion-dollar tech companies and Boeing and some of these unbelievable companies that, techs of the world, they cannot make ends meet on $200,000 a year. They are struggling to live in a home with 800 square feet and one bedroom. That just blows me away. I mean, who wants to live like that? I know why people leave, um, the millionaires from both sides. So I think you're going to continue to see growth in Texas, in Austin, southern Texas. You're going to see growth continue in Florida and in some of these southern states, even. I think Georgia has picked up population, the Carolinas for sure. And that's probably good for our side, though, Chris, because there's going to be more conservative people along that, the Maryland coast. We need to get rid of some of those bleeding heart liberals that are up there and neutralize them.
Yeah, but Leslie, I don't see. I don't think the liberals are going anywhere. And look, I think that what we're seeing right now is something within this country that is unprecedented in my lifetime. And when Bill Federer was talking about this the other night, it's really genius what they're doing. They are again, they're literally running off people that have the money, the billionaires, and they're sending them to other states. And then this is the crazy thing: our state of Tennessee got ranked the number one state that is the worst state of the union to live in. I've been in that state
Really?
for 20. Yeah, it's no joke. And I've lived in that state for 27 years now, 28 years almost. And in the eastern part of Tennessee, it is as red and as conservative as you can get. It's the most beautiful part of the country to me. But the liberals have moved out of California. They've moved out of New York. They've moved out of Illinois. They've moved out of Colorado. Guess where they've come? They've come to Tennessee. They've come to Florida. They've come to Georgia. They've come to
Yeah.
Alabama. And they've come to this state here in Texas. And they've come
Yeah,
to here.
I
By,
know.
by the way, Gloria Garcia, yeah, this Texas air's got me fired up tonight. So yeah, this Texas air does have me fired up. Um, but but seriously though, that's their plan. In other words, they run off the money from their own states, so their own states go broke, and then they go to other states to implant their ideology in these other states. That is, buddy, that's something that the conservatives. It's just like a train that's hit us, and
I know.
I don't think we've understood this until it's too late. And
Well, and that's why we do things. We wait until we realize it's a dire consequence if we don't do something. That's the one thing about Republicans. They tend to be too nice. They don't play dirty up front like the Democrats will. It goes back to that moral and ethical value that we have in our lives that they don't have. It's not evil to them to do X, Y, and Z, where to us, we would never even begin to go that route until we're forced, into a situation like that. But yeah, I mean, I think you're right on them being genius. I mean, look at all these people that are popping up they tell you they're socialists, they tell you they're communists. Believe them.
well, I do believe them. And no, I do
I do
believe them,
too.
and I do believe this is exactly. I heard Mendami today tried to define why. Literally, he said something about a woman being raped, and the answer he gave was as chilling and cold that an individual can give. And if a conservative would have said this, that conservative, if he'd have been in office, would have been expelled. If he'd have been in a newspaper, he'd been fired. If he'd have been a television personality, he'd been fired. If he'd had a podcast, people would have been basically protesting the podcast, and the person would go bankrupt. But he literally said, if people would obey my religion, he said we wouldn't have rape because
No.
we would deal with the women in a way that they would never be raped. And the men too, it's something along those lines. But it was an insinuation that it's America's fault for our culture. And again, it's this idea that he's planting in these kids' heads that America's bad, that this culture is bad. And Leslie, this is what the socialists and Marxists have done in all generations. They have torn these nations down by bad mouthing them to the kids, and the kids start to believe it. They believe
Yeah.
that their nation is bad, and
Yeah.
they want to change
We're
it. They think this
yeah.
utopia is what they need, which is not what they need.
Well, and that's so twisted, the Muslim thing, and we know that it's growing by leaps and bounds in this country because these people come over. They don't have one or two kids. They have 6 or 8 kids, and their population explosion. I think it's by the year 2052, they will be equal to or greater in population than Christians. I mean, if we go that long, I can't imagine a world in the United States where it's like that. But, I mean, we know what happens in those countries.
Yeah.
Yeah, women don't get raped. It's because they're not allowed to come out of that basement hole they're in
Well,
and, show their head in public.
I mean, if any conservative would have said something along that line, and I'm going to use Whoopi Goldberg, and I want to get back to McConnell after this. Whoopi Goldberg said something Friday that she says, most of you don't understand that living in America, that we are all fearful of driving and living in a country where the law is ran by a group of white men. Now, Leslie, if I would have got on this show and you would have got with us, or you know where I'm going with this, and if I was to have said that on this network, to say, well, that we here in America, we live in a country that we should be scared of the law being handled by every black man. Do you think that this show would not be, do you think that would have caused a blow up so big that Chris would have got so much notoriety, I might have even started making money on YouTube for the monetary thing. I mean, I'd have had people calling for my head, and if any conservative broadcaster would have said that, and ABC refuses to do anything about that crap in this media, and they're at fault with this. Some of it, not all of it, but they're at fault. Gutless politicians are another thing at fault. Good to see David Reese Jr. in again tonight, and he makes a good statement already. Kill the filibuster, pass the Save America Act. You got John Thune tonight basically alluding that they're going to let these congressmen go home for August break without voting for it. And I think that's a travesty. I think that's a travesty.
They better not. They better not. No one on this planet gets a month vacation every 3 months. So that needs to go away. This bull about I'm in my territory, I'm in my district. Yeah, right. You're vacationing in the Bahamas. We know where you are. It's not rocket science. So yeah, earn your money, do your job. I think the filibuster is going to go away. That is the one and only reason I would be for it. I think when you're not in power, that is the little semblance of sanity that you can keep for both sides and still debate. That's going to go away, but it's going to go away every time the Democrats are in power.
Well, I was going to say, if the Republicans don't be smart, they might as well just go ahead and nuke it and take care of business between now and November, because if you lose, you lose. You got 6 months. Whatever the Republicans are going to do, they better do it now while they've got the power. And this is what infuriates people. They've got the power. Let me speak of this power, because this balance of power goes to Mitch McConnell. And I got to ask you a question. I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit. Do you think that he is actually okay, and that picture that he submitted yesterday of him and his wife, Chow, who's the Chinese spy, by the way, sitting in that nursing home with him all giddy in that bed, was not a plant? I don't believe that picture is real. And I hate to say that, because I loathe this conspiracy stuff, and I loathe thinking this. But look, the man's not been heard from in 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
No,
June 14th.
This was a month ago yesterday, yeah.
So you're going to tell me that he just pops up with a picture and he's all giddy in a nursing home and puts out a statement that I've been a little down and I can't go vote in the Senate, but I'm okay and I'm doing fine. We've got a term for that down south, but I can't repeat it on this show tonight. Texans have got a term for it too that they can't repeat on this show for it tonight. Well, we've got a term for that in politics, and the last name is Schiff. It's a bunch of Schiff. Do you believe that? Do you believe he's actually okay? Do you? I don't think he is.
I don't know, because if you're well enough to sit up in the bed then you're well enough to make some kind of other effort. I found that to be. And why is he in a nursing home? What is the prognosis and the diagnosis that put him there? What is the time frame? I just don't buy it. I don't know what they did or what's going on. All these people that I really kind of trust are saying that they've talked to him. But my question is, are they talking to him? What's going on? I don't know. I'm skeptical. That picture to me was not realistic.
Well, and then that takes us to Thune, then, Leslie. It goes to John Thune, because John Thune is the one that claims he's talking to Mitch. And Barrasso is claiming he's talking to Mitch. I got to ask you a question. It only takes 5 senators to remove Thune from power. What is it that you believe that Thune has got on these congressmen or these people, and maybe he has things, maybe he don't. Why is it that there is no movement in the Senate to take him out of power, put somebody in there that's going to push President Trump's agenda and do the things that need to be done to get laws passed? This guy, do you realize that this Congress that we've had since Trump's been in office the last 18 months has been the least efficient in 50 years in our country? They have passed the least amount of bills. There's not been anything that's come out of the Senate that has done anything for the American people. Nothing. Nothing.
Well, it's the Trump derangement too, and that isn't just exclusively to the left. There are many, many Republicans that hate him. They may be conservative on things, but they can't get past their hate. And I think John Thune is one of them. I think McConnell is or was one of them. I think there are really probably more than we could ever imagine. And I think it's their gang. I think they don't want to upset the apple cart. They still want good old boy politics. I mean, there's no one more good old boy than Mitch McConnell. So I would have said that about Lindsey Graham. I think he did a great job, really. I think he loved the country. I think it goes back to that. No matter what you say about Trump, he loves his country, and he would die for his country. And I don't think these guys are on the same page, and they never will be.
Well, let me add some fuel to this fire tonight, because we've been told that there's going to be a bombshell announcement Thursday night from President Trump regarding the 2020 election. I'm going to throw some scenarios out at you, and we're going to follow this. I hope we can be on air Thursday night. Maybe we'll bring you back Thursday when this bombshell happens. But it is going to be reported that there was election fraud in Georgia, my hometown, my home state, and that both John Ossoff and Warnock, this crazed pastor that is nothing but a racist.
He's a fruitcake.
He's a fruitcake racist, is what he is. And Ossoff is not much better. That they both were elected illegally. Georgia has 9 out of 14 districts in the state are Republican. How do they wind up with 2 Democrat senators?
I never believed that.
And I never believed that either. And Trump is going to say Thursday night that it was because of fraud. Now, I'm not a lawyer, and I've got some lawyer friends that are sort of thinking about this and going to get back to me. Where does this leave the country Thursday night if this is proven to be true? Do we hold a special election? Do these senators just go away? And any bill that they voted for, I mean, does that take away from the vote? I mean, this is you're talking about a constitutional crisis that people always swear up and down that Trump's creating in the country. Buddy, this is going to be a true constitutional crisis, because if you've got 2 senators that have been fraudulently elected, that throws the balance of power in a major way toward the Republicans. But it not only does that, it nullifies anything they voted for. Does it not?
It does, but you know what? I don't think the country could handle that. I don't know where you go with that, because the crisis itself would be so great. And what I mean by that is do you undo everything that's been done, and how do you do that, and how do you go about it? You're going to have people like Whoopi Goldberg and all those idiots on that show. Everybody that's they still believe the Russian hoax, or even if they don't believe it, they still perpetuate the myth. So is this going to be one of those things? How do you prove something? I mean, we proved that Trump was not guilty of any of
Right.
that it was
Right.
all a farce. We have that proof. We have that proof from Democrats and whistleblowers and all the evidence that's been uncovered. We know that to be a fact, but I'm guaranteeing you that I would venture to say 25% of all Democrats still believe, without a shadow of a doubt, that that's all true. Wouldn't you say so?
Well, I would say so too, but this is the thing. Told my dear friend Cleo this afternoon, talking with her. Trump usually, when there's like, and I get the feeling, and I see the sentiment in the chat. Well, nothing's going to be done about it, and I would say I would agree with that if Trump would just, if he would have just posted this on Truth Social like he does. You know, Trump gets in his moods and he lets it all hang out.
He lets it go.
Like McDonald does sometimes on his show when he's not in hotel rooms, when he can scream and shout and wear the cowboy hat and look tough, you know. I look like an Englishman tonight. But Trump didn't do this on Truth Social, Leslie. He's going to announce this to the country. And this is my take on it, and I may be wrong about this. I understand the sentiment out there. I'm not taking issue with the sentiment that nothing to be done about it, because we've come down this road before. We've talked about your former, abuser,
Yeah.
and his wife, and Juanita Broderick. God bless her heart. Every time I've talked to her through these years that we've known her, you know, that's been her mantra. She said, Chris, she said, I've watched these Clintons sneak out of everything and wiggle out of every corner. She said, I would think they would get justice, and they just have never had justice. But there's something that was weird about this, because if he was going to just blow steam off about it, okay, and that he just wanted to throw that out there to just create a time bomb, which it has with the Dems, he could have done that on Truth Social. Leslie, he's going in front of a national audience Thursday night and talking to the country about it. And what I believe is that Tulsi Gabbard, because it's been rumored ever since she resigned that the last nail in the coffin that she's about to put in the deep state's heart is this election situation of 2020. That this has been hidden, this has been clamped down on under the Biden years, and she's about to rip the Band-Aid off of it. I think Kash Patel knows things that they're not releasing publicly, and I think that when we get done Thursday night, I may be wrong, but I believe that this ain't going to be a True Social post. And it makes you wonder what the legal fallout will be. I know what the political fallout's going to be. They're going to call Trump every name in the book.
Yeah.
But I tell you what it's going to do. It's going to settle once and for all what we conservatives has always known, that they stole the 2020 election, and they stole the 22 election. They stole the 2018 election. They tried to steal 2016, but they couldn't do it. They tried to steal 24. They couldn't do it. But they did it in 2020 and got away with it. We need to know the truth, even though ultimately, Glory, what you're saying about nothing to be done about it may be proven true as well. But at least we'll know the truth, and it won't happen again, because they'll be too scared to do it again, I would think, knowing that we caught them doing it this time. What's your thoughts on that?
Maybe he'll announce that he's forming a special committee, a bipartisan committee on this. And, I don't know. I don't even know if you could get Democrats to go along with the truth. I think you could peg Fetterman and a few other people. But I'm telling you, these are people that will go down with the ship, even if it's wrong. They don't. I mean, that's how much they want to protect their slice of the world. So I think that probably, I think you're right that he's announcing it on national television. maybe he's announcing an investigation, or part of the investigation has been done, and this is what Tulsi found, and this is the proof. You know, Trump, he's not going to come forward until he's got some really good evidence and some information. So let's see what that is. I can't wait.
Yeah, Gloria, I will tell you, the rhinos ain't going to stop this. I hate to tell you, we may have some rhinos, and we may have some people that are trying to stop it, but I don't think. I think this is more of a justice issue. I don't even think this is a political issue. I think this is legal, and if it's proven, Leslie, some people are going to go to jail for this. And,
I hope. I mean, I still think I'm waiting for Comey and all that bunch to go.
Well, Brennan's out there. It is so insane that John Brennan is warning the MS Now crowd that Trump is going to rig the midterm elections. Is that not what the Democrats have done the last 3 election cycles? I mean,
that's what they do.
These people,
they always accuse.
They always accuse
what they're doing.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be an interesting thing. We'll see. I'm going to be optimistically cautious, but I feel like this is different, because if Trump just wanted to blow smoke about it, he's got a True Social account. He does that every day. And when he says, "What did you say? Thank you for your attention to this matter." He's been bombing Iran every night, and I think that rumors are that he's wrapping those bombs with that piece of paper and telling Iran, "Thank you for your attention to this matter. I want to talk to you about Iran before I let you go, because it's getting late tonight. We're going to bring you back on this week. We were having trouble getting set up here in the hotel tonight with everything. The weather here is atrocious, with the weather and flooding and all." What is your thoughts on where we're at with Iran? I think Trump's seen the light. I don't think that there's going to be this que sera, sera, kumbaya meeting anymore. I see a change in him even this last week. And I think that the Iranians have, as the old saying goes, they have poked the bear, and they've poked the bear, and they've woken him up. And I don't think that there's going to be a negotiation anymore. My question to you is this: where is Iran getting those weapons? I got some intelligence people that I'm going to ask that to when I get them on the program. But where are they getting the capacity to keep shooting these weapons into Saudi Arabia, shooting them into Jordan, shooting them into Lebanon? They're not doing it to Israel, because they know what's going to happen if they shoot it to Israel. You're going to have World War III.
Yeah.
But they are shooting it against their neighbors. Leslie, we were told that those missiles were destroyed. Where are they getting them from? Are they remanufacturing them, or do we have another enemy out there that's funneling these missiles to Iran that we are not aware of, or at least we're not being told? Because somebody's giving them these. They're not growing on pixie sticks.
No, and they can't be from Russia, because Russia's got its hands full with everything that's going on. That's my opinion. I think the only answer to that is China, and I have thought about that so many times myself. How can you keep having all of these weapons? I know we destroy targets. I know we've gone in there. Where are these weapons coming from, and how are they getting there? I mean, what do you think? I think it has to be China. I don't think there's any other option. Where else could they be? Where else could be a large enough place to get that kind of power?
Yeah, I don't either. I don't either at all. Well, it's something to watch. James Akers is out of town this week, and he's our CIA guy, and I'm going to get him and Brad Johnson on first of the week to talk about it, because I just think that this is the beginning of a massive. I think the Mullers are gone. I hate to tell them. If I was the Mullers, I would be leaving the country, finding exile somewhere, because I don't think Trump's going to stop until there's regime change now. And you know, I don't know why it took him so long to see this. I will say this, and this is again why people that criticize Trump have got an IQ of 2. And what I mean by criticizing him is thinking that he's dumb and being played. I think Trump was trying his best, Leslie, to keep peace. He did not want to go down this route, and he gave them every opportunity to do the right thing. And history, if it's written right, cannot say that Trump's a warmonger. Now
No.
the media, Caitlin Collins today, in her smart aleck way, and she
She's
got
an
put in her
idiot.
place. She's an idiot, but she got put in her place because she asked Trump. She says, "Well, is this the new way of the American life? We've been in Iraq 4 months." Trump answered it with the best answer. He said, "Caitlin, we were in Vietnam 19 years. We've only been here 4 months, so give me a break." And
Good.
that's how the media, that's how you handle a smart aleck media. But
Yeah.
the thing is, I don't think, if with Trump's gloves off now and his blinders off, and I don't think they were blinders. I think it was an intentional thing. As I look back on it now, he was just trying to give Iran a chance, and he didn't want to plunge the world into a depression because of the rise in oil cost. I think this is going to be quick and sudden. My prediction is we're going to be done with this by maybe September at the latest, and that's just my take on it.
I pray that's
What
right.
What do you think about that? What do you think about that?
Well, I think it's compassion for the Iranian people. I
The
think
people,
he didn't
yes.
want to see them suffer. I think that drove 80% of his decisions on that. I think he probably said, let's go back to the table. You know, we've done X, Y, and Z, and it's still not working. What can we do? Well, I don't think there's anything you can do with this regime and expect them to negotiate in good faith. They're not going to do that ever, ever. So, yeah, I'm with you. At this point, you've got to have regime change. You've got to go back into rebuilding then, and we've got to help all those people. I think at one point early on, he expected the people to rise up, but I don't think they have the capacity or the ability to do that. And there was no way for us to arm them.
What if I told you
So,
I don't think they want to rise up, Leslie? I think
you
this
really
is we
don't?
made we made this mistake in Iraq. Bush Jr. And again, I've got mixed views on Bush Jr. A lot of people think he's the devil and the Antichrist. I think Bush Jr. was definitely part of the elite and all. But look, when you're sitting in that president's chair, and I say this about Bush, I say this about Trump, I say this about any Republican president. Reagan was in the same place. And when you are in the president's chair and you have to make these decisions, and granted, the intelligence was wrong, but Bush was given intelligence that Iraq had weapons of mass destruction. When he went in there the first time, I was okay with it. I felt
Me
like
too.
that
Yeah.
we needed to go and find those weapons. And when we didn't find them, we should have just been man enough to go to the world and say, look, we were told that they had them, but they didn't, and leave and let the country of Iraq build what it wants to build. And what we did, the mistake we made, was we tried to impose American democracy on a Middle Eastern caliphate.
Yeah.
And I think that the same thing was in the back of Trump's mind to a degree. I'm not saying he's Bush. He's not. Far from it. But I do believe that, like you said, though, he was hoping that the Iranian people would rise up and form an American type and an American friendly government. Leslie, there's no guarantee that the Iranian people want that. I know
I
they
know.
want freedom, but there's a difference in wanting freedom and wanting to live free. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense? I hope
Absolutely. Yeah.
I'm trying to
Yeah.
get a point across here that we can't affect, if the Iranians don't want this, we can't force them to take it. And I think that's what's been disappointing to me too. Like you said, I was expecting them to do this. They've had a chance. Now, in all fairness, American governments in the past, including Bill Clinton and others, when the Iranians were at this place of history, we betrayed them. And I think that
Yeah,
that might
that's
have been
true.
that may have been somewhat of the resistance, or the what's the word I'm looking for, the slowness to them to put their necks on the line to go around. But let me tell you what
Yeah.
happened. Even when they did it a little bit, 42,000 of them lost their life for it, hun. They lost
I
their
know.
life for it. This regime
I
killed
know.
them. That's who we're
I
dealing
know.
with.
And
That's who we're
and
dealing with.
maybe yeah, and maybe that faction or that ability is threatened to them every day. They're cut off from the internet. They're cut off from phones. You know, I'm sure living day to day and having bread is probably the main focus of life at this point. I think it's really bad over there. And so the people are probably like, we don't want to die. We want this to end. And they blame America for that on some level. And rightfully so. I get that. But some people, you're right, they don't want help. Is this one of those situations? I'd like to think that people would like a better life, but if you don't know what you don't know, maybe not.
I'm with you. And again, this remains to be seen if whatever we do. But I will tell you this from a spiritual standpoint, and people need to understand this tonight too. Persia's going to be there at the end, and Israel's going to be there at the end. And the only nation that's involved over there right now that we're not so sure of is our own. There's no record of America in the Bible. And,
Right.
and it makes you pause to understand that regardless of what we do in Iran, the empire itself is going to sustain itself to the point the regime may go away. But let me make it abundantly clear tonight, spiritually and scripturally, the Persian Empire is not going anywhere. It's going to be at the end, and it's going to be an attacker and a nation that is going to come against Israel at the very end of time, at the end of this age, at the great battle of Armageddon. They're going to be with the forces of Antichrist.
Exactly.
And I'll just
Yeah.
leave that. I'll leave that for folks to chew on tonight. And I'll say this again, and I'll wrap it up with this with you. America. James Akers says this every time he comes on my show. Every time that America has stuck its nose in the Middle East, Leslie, we have gotten it cut off, and we wind up in a mess. And I just hope we don't repeat that in this. I hope we're going to be smarter than we've been in the past, that we get in there and do our job and come home, let the Middle East sort this mess out. Because when we try to sort it out for them, the only country that loses is us and the world.
Yeah, that's true.
Am I right on
true.
that?
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, it's like socialism. We know it really doesn't work, but we keep trying and we keep going after that and thinking people think the way we do. You're right, they don't. There is probably a large percentage of people that feel that way, that seek freedom. But when you're talking about a 98 or 99% country that's Muslim, I mean, that's their way of life. That's what they do. That's how they act. And you're right. I always thought that was a huge, major mistake that Bush felt like. I mean, he did try to impose a democratic government on people that didn't want that.
Well,
and we couldn't know that at the time, you know?
And I think that while we may criticize Bush, and I do, I criticize him for a lot of things. I think that we were all snookered by him not to believe that him and the Clintons were buddy-buddy. But you know what? I saw a video of him this week, and this is the craziness of our political system. And this is why you have people say things one week, the next week they're saying something different. Bush was out there saying this week that the situation in the Middle East with Israel and the Palestinians is not two-sided. He said it's one-sided. He said it's the Palestinians killing the Israelis, not the other way around. And I thought to myself, where in the blank was this during the time you were President Bush?
Yeah,
If you would have
yeah.
thought this then, you wouldn't have been pushing a Palestinian state.
Exactly.
Where was this at 20 years ago? And I hear Bill Clinton out there, exclaiming that he tried to give the Palestinians a state and he did everything for them and they didn't take it. And Leslie, why that we have to have 20/20 hindsight when people like me and you and this audience, we see this for what it is. We see the Palestinians as a bunch of murderers and Hamas is a bunch of murderers. Why
Well,
can't
and
people
there's so
with
many
degrees do that?
factions. I
Come on.
know. There's
Come
so
on.
many factions. How are you going to get everybody on the same page? I think that's a huge problem too. Even within the Islamic community, you have people that do want peace, and you have people that only want war. And I don't know how you get all of them on the same page. I really don't. I'm with you. It like leads up to the end of times. They will continue to exist. They will continue to be strong. I think Israel. I don't know. Are you thinking Bibi and Trump are getting along better? They seem much cozier than they were 2 weeks ago.
Well, I think they are, and even tonight, President Trump basically told Israel in a roundabout way that he wants them to redeploy the IDF in Syria and Lebanon. Now, Bibi told Bush, get your planes, your refueling planes out of Tel Aviv. So I don't know. I'm not going to go as far as to say that they're buddy-buddy. There has been a warming,
Yeah.
let's just say there's been a warming of the cold chill that was on there 2 weeks ago. But again, Leslie, me and you talked about this, and it's getting late, and I'll let you go after this. We're going to get you back on Thursday night, Lord willing, if we're still here. But I will tell you this. I do believe that Trump was strategically trying to diffuse something that was leading to World War III in the Middle East. I think that all he was trying to do was tell Israel, be patient. I didn't agree with it, but I understand why he did it. I don't think he should have been doing it publicly. It should have been with a phone call to Bibi behind the scenes. It shouldn't have been to the world to see, because whenever there's distance between us and Israel, guess who takes advantage of that? Iran.
Oh, absolutely.
And they take advantage of us and Israel. And that's why these things need to be handled as adults and two men with strong wills in a back room on a phone. And then tell the world, if you mess with Israel, we're going to blow your head off. That's what the world needs to hear from us, Leslie. And let me just say this, and let me go on record and saying this tonight. I've said this a million times. If America would truly get behind Israel in that manner, the Middle East, even though it's not going to be solved before Jesus comes, there'd be peace on that Ponderosa. Because I'm going to tell you something. These pot-shot terrorist groups that take their shots at Israel and send missiles into Israel, if they knew the United States was going to respond along with Israel, they'd stop doing it. They stopped doing it.
They would.
But because they know we got feckless, cowardly politicians in the White House and in the Congress and in the Supreme Court, they think, well, America's a bunch of cowards and they're not going to do anything to stop it. And this is about a bully. The bully will keep bullying you until you take your fist and pop him right in the good old-fashioned nose a few times and let him know that you don't do that. That's unacceptable behavior. And I'm going to tell you something else. I'm on a roll tonight. Gloria, if you're out there, this Texas air, it feels good tonight. It's just you're lucky that I'm in a hotel room, because I would be screaming this. She's like a petulant child, Leslie. When a petulant child is sitting in their high chair and they're beating their fork on the table and they're throwing peas at you and spitting at you, let me tell you what you do to that petulant child. You take that child down and you bust his butt, and you leave a message to that child that is unacceptable behavior. And if you throw your peas, I'm going to spank you. And I am going to make sure that you realize that this is unacceptable. Guess what's going to happen? That child's going to stop doing that mess. They'll think twice about it. The next time they do it, they'll think, the last time I did this, I didn't sit down for 6 weeks. There's nothing wrong with that. And I'm on a roll tonight. I'm just on a roll tonight. Let me tell you something. America needs to start letting the Arab world know and letting Israel's enemies know, you mess with Israel, you mess with us. Israel has not had us do that since the time she was reformed in 1948. And that's why the world has tried to destroy her, Leslie.
I know.
I'll leave that alone.
Will. No,
I'll leave myself on that.
You know what I I think too, looking back, just because we have a couple of months now to kind of look back in retrospect, I'm thinking too that, do you really think Iran thought that we would go through with everything we said? We've been letting them get by with everything for 47, 48 years. All of a sudden, I mean, they know Trump means business. They know he's different than the rest. But do you really think they thought we would go to these measures to do this?
Nope, I don't.
I don't either.
I think that's why Trump has been different than any other president. I don't see Bush Jr. doing this. I would have never dreamed that. I don't think Reagan would have even done this, Leslie. I don't think that Reagan didn't confront it. Clinton didn't confront it. The Obama sure didn't confront it. That was their relatives. They couldn't confront the relatives. Biden sure wasn't going to do it. And we've never had a president in 47 years since the takeover. Jimmy Carter. The reason we've got this mess is Jimmy Carter tonight. And the reason that we're having to do it is because presidents before Trump wouldn't do it. And I'm wondering, as I'm thinking about this tonight, while Bush went out and said what he said, I think Bush is seeing the light a little bit, that his legacy is on the line. Because he's going to see that he failed in not dealing with this situation rightly and putting his weight with the Palestinians, instead of putting his weight where it should have been. And that's with Israel.
And, you know, he's not anti-Israel. Neither is Clinton. Obama definitely. Biden definitely. But, you know, these were not men that, they didn't really do anything to help them. But I think privately they would say, you know, they were just trying to keep peace. But, yeah, they've never seen anything like Trump, and they never will again, I don't think. I think Israel was kind of shocked now how they got so much firepower and everything together in such a short time. And looking at the big picture, too, in the Strait of Hormuz, I think that's the only trading card they have. They feel like if they lose, and when they lose power of that, it's over.
Yeah.
Well, why we didn't take that island, I don't know. Honestly,
I don't either.
I don't know why we didn't.
I'm going to say this about the Strait of Hormuz. We should have done this from the start. We shouldn't have. We should not have played. And it's not a criticism. This is just an observation. And again, I get why Trump did it. I'm not upset that he did it. I disagreed with it, but I knew, and I've always known, that there was a method to his madness, because there's always a method to Trump's madness. We should have learned this by now, and this is why this thing on Thursday night is intriguing, because, as I said, he could handle this thing in Georgia a million ways. You know, he could just blow the thing up on True Social tomorrow and call for an investigation and do it. He's going on national television, and it makes you wonder what Tulsi Gabbard has found, and what Tulsi Gabbard has discovered, and FBI Director Patel, can't think of his name tonight. It makes you wonder what cards they're holding. I tell you what, Warnock is screaming like a rabid dog tonight, like a scalded cat. He knows.
He is the worst. Yeah,
he knows. He knows, Leslie.
They're bad. They're bad. They're all part of this. I'm with you. I don't understand how people cannot see through this. I just don't get it. Even if you're middle of the road, there are few people that finally admit it and come forward and go, yeah, I get this, but they're lunatics, and they're louder than we are, because we have more class. What can I say?
Yeah.
But
I don't.
You know, they're lunatics. Yes, you're a Southern gentleman, whether you want to admit it or not.
I had to throw that in. You said we have class. No, I don't have class sometimes. I want to talk like I don't have class, because I get fired up on this show, and it's just a good Lord's grace tonight that I'm sitting in a hotel room, and I got 3 rooms right beside me that got people in them tonight. I'm trying to make sure they don't get woke up, because I want to because this has got me wired up tonight. But no, listen, I think it's going to be worth. It's going to be popcorn worthy Thursday night, and
I can't
I
wait.
can't wait either. We'll see, and we'll see what happens, you know. But listen, buddy, it's 11.
Thank you.
I'm going to let you go tonight. Thank you for being with me. Thank you for
Of
filling
course,
in.
my
And listen,
pleasure.
I'm going to holler at you Thursday again if the Lord's
Okay.
willing, and we can get on. And I'll see you then. Okay.
Okay.
God bless, friend.
Sounds
Have a good
good.
night.
You too. Bye
Good
bye.
night, Les. Leslie Millie, everybody. Um, what a absolute joy to have her. Um, and Cleo just sent me this from CNN tonight, and I'm going to read this. It says U.S. intelligence, this was just 3 minutes ago, indicates that China is preparing weapons shipment to Iran amid fragile ceasefire. This was back April the 11th. And U.S. intelligence indicates that China is preparing to deliver new air defense systems within a few weeks. So this has been going on for 3 months. And there's a big article on this. We may post this in the Telegram room. You can read it. It's a 3-month-old article, but it's apropos to tonight's discussion because I do believe that China is supplying them, and I do believe other sources are doing it too. They're getting it from somewhere. They're not getting it from pixie dust, that's for sure. Without a doubt. Okay, Luke, you says if Georgia is proven to be, it's that Texas air, Gloria. That's exactly right, buddy. It's good to see you tonight. Hope we get to see you before we leave. I really do. Holler at me. Luke says if Georgia is proven to be invalid, what will be the fallout? Luke, that's a great question, and that answer I would have to do a whole show on. We're going to try to get the judge. Look, this week is going to be a tough week, folks, for guests and shows. It'll just be me, and Leslie's agreed to be with us any night we need her. We won't be on news tomorrow night. If we're here, we'll be on our face show, and that'll be abbreviated because we have got a full 2 days coming up of just from 4 o'clock in the morning throughout the day with my son, and that's why we're here in San Antonio. But we tried to come on tonight because we've been wanting to talk about been wanting to talk about Lindsey Graham and these other things and get the Iranian situation. We've got plenty of video, but we just don't have anything to show you tonight because of the situation. We'll be back to normal somewhat next week before we go to New York, and then after we get back from New York, we'll be back to normal. We're going to get the judge on, Luke, Judge Sherilyn Allen, and Kelly Malcolm, our dear friend who we reconnected with today, and she is a lawyer, and we're getting them to look into this because this is a constitutional matter. It's not a political matter, it's a constitutional matter. I personally believe if it's proven that that election was illegal, then it opens the door for investigations into the presidential election. Now, Luke, this is my opinion, what I'm about to tell you. I don't have any hand on the Bible thing to say about this. I'm not saying this is exactly why this is happening and why Trump's doing this. I personally believe that he's laying the groundwork to run again in 28. Because if it's proven that the election in 2020 was stolen from him, then under the Constitution, there may be provisions that, he gets to run a third term. I don't think that's going to happen, but that's just Chris thinking outside the box a little bit. We'll see. I don't think he'd be coming on national television and talking about it if it wasn't big. And I think that we just need to wait and see what he has to say Thursday night. Ask me that question Thursday night because I'll have a better handle on it. And I would say that any bill that those two gentlemen voted on, their votes need to be thrown out. And some of these razor-thin margin votes that we've lost by 1 or 2 votes, it could change things drastically on some laws that we should have passed and things we should have passed that we didn't because of these two knuckleheads from my home state of Georgia, which I'm very ashamed of. And I want to say it again, folks. Georgia's got 14 voting districts in its state. 9 of them, that's 3/4 of them, are Republican. Only 5 of them are Democrat, and they're basically in the southwest part of the state where I grew up. And Albany, Savannah, Macon, and a couple of small communities in southwest Georgia and Atlanta are Democrat. That's it. But they're almost like California. They control their population centers. That's where they're at, and they control the state. So we'll see. It's a great question. It's a great question. We're not fully sure how to answer that just yet. But anyway. Anyway, Taryn is from San Antonio. Well, we've been here many times, Taryn. It's a beautiful city. I'm playing with Gloria a little bit tonight. This Texas area, I love Texas. I've always loved Texas. I've been to the border 3 times. Got sick and almost died the 3rd time I came down here. But we've got precious friends in Houston. We've got precious friends in this area, and Dallas, and family here, and I love seeing it. That's why I drive. And San Antonio is one of the most beautiful cities in America. Forget the politics of it, but the city itself, I've been here and visited several times, and it is a beautiful, beautiful city. I love going to the Alamo and the Riverwalk, and I would encourage anybody that's never been here to visit it and enjoy it. I wouldn't recommend living here because of the government here, and Austin is as blue as can be, but I love Texas, and I love this state, and San Antonio is a beautiful city. I'm glad my son's here. He's graduating from the U.S. Air Force this week, right here in Lackland, and Dad's really proud, and I've got to get up here just about 4 hours, so I got to keep myself awake for 4 hours, then get up and get over there. I swear, it's the story of my life these days. It's just the story of my life. I've learned to laugh about it. I just learned to laugh about it. But Taryn, San Antonio is a beautiful city. It's a beautiful city, and I'm grateful you're from here. Anyway, Leslie Mill, we want to thank you for being with us tonight. You says, imagine the Democrats if Trump ran for a 3rd term. Taryn, let me tell you something. You're talking about TDS syndrome. Poor Whoopi Goldberg would turn white. Joy Behar, her hair would turn brunette. The CNN would, they would have to bring oxygen masks in and put oxygen on these newscasters to breathe if that happened. And I would say some Fox personalities. Jessica Tarloff would probably hyperventilate. But I'm telling y'all, and again, folks, and I might as well go ahead and just say this, because I don't want to hype this up and it turn out to be a nothing burger Thursday night. There's a possibility Trump may not say anything, but he has posted this out there all day today, and he even said it in the in the Oval Office this afternoon, that there is a major announcement that he's going to make about 2020 election interference. And he even said in his Truth Social post, he believes that John Ossoff and Raphael Warnock are illegitimate senators from Georgia. So put 2 and 2 together. So I don't think it's going to be a nothing burger, but I don't want to hype it up to the point that we think that the world's going to change Thursday night. I tell you what's going to happen, and ultimately Gloria Garcia may be right. Nothing may come of it, but I just think that it's going to tear the scab off of what's been going on behind the scenes. And I think if we can ever figure out how they did it, it won't happen again. And what it does do is put pressure on Thune and those feckless Republicans in Congress. Mike Johnson gets it. The Speaker of the House gets it. This is in the Senate. Problems in the Senate to pass the SAVE Act, because it's staring them in the face. If this is how they did it, through illegal votes and these illegal ballots, it's game over for the Dems. Game over for the Dems. But that's a good point. That's a good point. Anyway, thank you, Taryn. We're going to enjoy it. Let's see here. Any other questions? Any other statements tonight? If you've got a question, please put it in the house. And folks, let me just say this. This is what blows me away. While our guest is on, everybody's wanting to put paragraphs in. Y'all know better. I love you guys. When we got a guest, let us just let us do the talking. We love y'all. We're not trying to be a horse's patoot. We give you the time at the end of the show, and now nobody wants to talk. I give you the time. The time to talk is now. We want you to listen, because when you're putting paragraphs, people are reading your paragraphs and they're not listening to my guest. Leslie stayed up till midnight tonight to be with us, and it's disrespectful when you do that. Don't do that. I love y'all. I've been doing this 8 years. You know better than that. But now when I'm asking you to talk, I can't get nobody to ask a question. So, just do us that favor, okay? I'm not screaming at you about it. I've mellowed out about the chat. We got a great group of people here. We're not upset with nobody. We're not trying to ruin you, eat your cookie, or break your cookie, or send you to therapy. But just protocol, folks. It's just respect. But now I'm asking questions. Nobody wants to talk. I'm going to let you go here in 5 minutes. Great show tonight, Taryn. It was great. Julie, how much do I think John Fetterman knows? John Fetterman, Julia, knows a lot. John Fetterman knows a lot. John Fetterman's about to turn Republican. I believe John Fetterman knows enough. I think he's so disgusted. And I'm going to tell you something else, Julia. He is extremely upset with the Democrats' anti-Semitic rant. And these anti-Semitic voices in the Democrat Party, what's happening in New York, what's happening in Michigan, what's happening in California, what's happening with his own leadership, and them not condemning these socialists and these communists, Fetterman is about to walk. Now, whether that's good or bad, because in Pennsylvania, you've got a purple state, and for him to be able to win as a Republican may be harder than for him to win as a Democrat, and vice versa. I don't know. But the dynamic of politics in Pennsylvania is very complicated. I would not be shocked come next year if he survives that he goes Republican. But I think he knows a lot. I like John Fetterman. I wasn't sure about him at the beginning, but I realized it was physical. He was not physically there. I mean, it wasn't mental, it was physical. He was really physically sick when he got elected. And it was about a year in, I was listening to the man one night, and I said, this man's making more sense than Republicans make. What is that saying about me, that I'm saying John Fetterman's making more sense than the Republicans? I'm curious what y'all think about Lindsey Graham. Put your thoughts in about Lindsey Graham, and we'll wrap this up for tonight. Bear says, is it possible Trump will announce aliens on Thursday night? I don't think so. Bear. I think this has to do about the election. I may be wrong about that. That's a good question. I think that's a good question. I don't think this is the time to do it. It's funny you asked that question. I watched a movie the other night, and it was about the second coming of Jesus. And I've always felt like that this is what they're going to do. When the church is departed, the world's going to think crazy stuff like the aliens got us. And folks, let me just go on the record and clear the air about aliens. The Bible says, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. It does not mention Mars. It does not mention Venus. It does not mention any other planet except the heavens and the earth. The heavens, he's really referring to his spirit realm. There is a planetary body. There is nowhere in the Bible other than a reference in Genesis 6 where those angels married those sons of the daughters of men. The sons of God married the daughters of men. Most Bible teachers believe they produced Nephilim, which were giants. This is where Goliath came from. The Bible is not the story of any other life form but one. That is man. Man. And I have literally seen PhD teachers spend weeks, months, and years trying to convince people aliens are real. Christians are fascinated by it. Please let me be a Bible teacher tonight for about 2 minutes. They're nothing but demon spirits. You don't need to be worried about it. And you don't need to be involving yourself with the alien stuff. Bear, I don't think he's going to talk about it. I hope he don't. It's irrelevant. I don't care whether they prove aliens are here or not. All they are demon apparitions. These people are seeing these things. They are dibbling and dabbling in a realm they should not be dibbling and dabbling in. God never intended man to be communicating with the spirit realm like that. In no way, shape, form, or fashion. And these brainless Christians, these foolish Christians, these Christians that got nothing to do, in other words, they don't want to read their Bibles. They don't want to grow in the Lord. They don't want to get more mature in Christ. All they want to do is figure out whether we got little green men running around the earth. I pray better things accompany y'all's salvation out there tonight. I don't care whether there's aliens out there or not. It ain't the aliens that we need to be worried about. Even though the world is going to think that that's aliens took us as a church. When the church departs, that's what's going to be blamed probably on the departure and the missing. I don't doubt it. That's probably going to be the headline. And that's why I think, Bear, they're trying to make this an issue. The powers that be in this world are bringing this stuff up. I can't explain why Trump is involved in it and interested in it. That's Trump's business. I wished he would just let it go. It's not in the realm of where we're at tonight and the things that we need to be concerned ourselves with this nation. Aliens is like on a scale of 1 to 10, it's like 100 or 120 on the bottom. I'll amen myself on that one. Let's see here. Julia says, I think Lindsey Graham was a pretty good senator. I didn't agree with everything he did, but he was a true patriot, but I do believe that much, and he did stand for Trump a lot. Julie, that's well said, and he did. And I think that I think that Amy Miller sent something to me the other night, and I think she said it best, and this is how I feel about Lindsey Graham. I pray the man found the Lord. You know what I hope? I hope that with his interactions with Trump, that in these discussions on this golf course that he played Trump, he played golf with Trump quite a bit. I pray that Trump witnessed to him. I don't think I heard Lindsey Graham ever profess Christ publicly, but he didn't deny Christ. It wasn't like that he bashed Christianity. I mean, he seemed to be pro-Christian, but being pro-Christian don't mean you're saved. I'm with Amy Miller. I just pray that somewhere before Lindsey Graham went off into eternity, that he came to grips with the fact that Jesus Christ was his Savior. That's my biggest, deepest concern. The sad thing about Lindsey Graham is this. If he didn't, all those great things that you just said about him, while important on this earth, will mean nothing in eternity. It will mean nothing in eternity. And it will mean nothing for any of us, folks. It don't matter what we accomplish on this earth if we don't know Christ. It's Christ or departure from God. It's Christ or eternity without God. And and all these leaders, all of these congressional people, folks, we need to pray for their souls. I've told you this a million times, folks. I pray for Joe Biden's soul. I didn't agree with one single thing Joe Biden did as president. Not one. Not even a scintilla. Couldn't stand listening to him talk. Couldn't stand Obama listening to him talk. But one thing I never stopped doing with either man is praying for their soul. And I don't want to get into what the Lord told me to do one day about a shirt I had in my hand again, but the Lord got on me about talking down about Joe Biden. And the Lord told me if his people, speaking of us, the Christians, would have been praying for Joe Biden the way we should have been praying for him, who knows, God may have reached down and healed him of that mental disorder. God couldn't, because all the Christians were doing was mocking him and making fun of it. We shouldn't have been making fun of it, folks. We should have been praying. And now our candidate's in, and we get upset when the left mocks Trump, but we did it to them. We need to be Christians when there's a Democrat in office and when there's a Republican in office. Whether that man in that White House is Republican or Democrat shouldn't change us a bit. Shouldn't change us a bit. And that's my 2 cents on Lindsey Graham. I felt like, speaking about him professionally and as a politician, I'm with you, Julia. There were things I didn't agree with that he said sometimes, and a lot of things that he did. I think there was something that happened to him, though, in the middle part of Trump's first term. I think he caught on to what Trump was really trying to do for the country. And when him and Trump got their differences worked out, Lindsey Graham was on the Trump train, and he never got off. He never got off. The only thing I wished he would have done before he died, I wished he would have made a push to remove John Thune as leader. I would have been okay with Lindsey Graham being leader of the Senate. I think we'd have had the SAVE Act if Lindsey Graham would have been the head of the Senate. Rand Paul's another one. Rand Paul has been a thorn in President Trump's side from day one. And now all of a sudden Rand is seeing the light. He's out there saying, we need the SAVE Act. Well, Rand, the way you see the SAVE Act is you and Brandon Gill and Rick Scott and who's the other one? Kennedy from L.A., Louisiana. And there's at least Josh Hawley, for that matter. That's 5 right there. All it would take is 5 of you knuckleheads to pass a resolution and say, hey, we want a new leader. Just like that. That's simple. While we complicate things, I don't know. We got about 6 minutes. I'm going to take the other question. It's really good, Susan, Julia. Well said. It's well said. Well said. Julia, I don't know if that was true or not. I don't know. I mean, he never really talked about his faith. You might be right. He was a born-again Christian, but going to church don't make you born again. It doesn't mean you're born again. But I understand that. I understand what you're saying, Brandon. Good to see you tonight, by the way. Hope you're doing well. Mary Ann Franklin says, I respected Graham with support of life in Israel. I have suspicions with Ukraine. Mary, I think that's a lot of us, and I don't think you could have said it any better. And this is the crazy thing about Lindsey Graham. His constituents hated him, and Candace Owens and the anti-Semites hated him because of his support for Israel and life. And the one thing that bothered me with him was not those 2 things, it was Ukraine. But that just goes to show you all this, folks, and this is what the lesson we need to learn from this is simple. Even the best of politicians, including our wonderful president, that I love dearly and I respect dearly, think he's doing a great job. I don't agree with everything he says. And sometimes when Trump says things and does things, it makes my head spin about 1,000,000 miles a minute. And Lindsey Graham was in the same boat. There were times that he would be the most staunchest. I mean, and people called him a warmonger. But really and truly, Lindsey Graham's efforts in the Middle East, he wanted to see Israel protected. And sometimes you got to fight these terrorists off, folks. You just got to confront them. Just like we're doing in Iran tonight. It's not warmongering. And it's not fighting a useless war. I hear that all the time. Well, Trump promised not to get us into war. Trump didn't get us into war. Folks, this war's been waged on us for 47 years. And his fight for life, he was pro-life. Why he would want to support Ukraine, God only knows. because that was the conjury with Lindsey Graham. You would just shake your head. Lindsey, if you can see the clarity on Israel, you can see the clarity on life, can't you see that Lindsey is a fraud? And he couldn't. He couldn't. I'm no fan of Putin. I watched a movie this weekend about Putin's life, and it was a secular movie, and it showed his roots and where he came from. And like he's been a shyster. He's a KGB. I wouldn't trust Putin past his light, but I don't trust Lindsey no further. You got two parties that want to kill each other, and they're corrupt. That's the bottom line. And Mary, I think that's a great point. He could not see clearly on Ukraine. He just couldn't. But that's the imperfection of our politicians, and we need to recognize that. Debbie Courtwright, good to see you tonight. She says Lindsey Graham was a true patriot, but he truly stuck by Trump, and I'm not sure about his death. And I do believe that too. Debbie, it's well said, my friends. Good to see you tonight. Dennis says, your opinion, question 1, why wouldn't Trump and Netanyahu settle any differences by phone and keep it out of the public? Let's see, Dennis, what did you say here? Let me see what you got to say. I didn't see the rest of this. Marianne, are you from Texas too? Good to see you tonight. Your opinion, question 1, why wouldn't Trump and Netanyahu settle any differences by phone and keep it out of the public? Dennis, because the world, the enemies of both Israel and America, they love to see Israel and America spat. And they don't need to keep it. There's some things, Dennis, look, I have conversations behind the scenes of this network with people that never get out in the public. It's not the public's business, because I've gotten an education on how the public handles public disclaimers for the last 8 years. And the public don't handle public disclaimers well, because people gossip and they've got long tongues like long-tongued jackrabbits. And I think that some things are just better left unknown. We don't need to know everything. I don't know where we get this as people out here, that leaders have got to make decisions. I'm not saying they need to be hiding stuff from us, and that is not what I'm saying. But there's just some things that we don't need to hear. Trump using the F-bomb, and whoever leaked that call. Dennis, let me ask you a question. The person that leaked that conversation, that Trump was using the F-bomb to Bibi, you know why they did that? To cause this whole riffraff to blow up and cause problems between our two nations. Because they knew exactly what it was going to do. And you know what it did, Dennis? It did exactly what it was intended to do. It divided Trump supporters from Trump's enemies. It literally caused Trump supporters to stop supporting him. It caused even me. Look, I was shaking my head at that, saying, what are you cussing him out for? Cuss or ran out. If you're going to cuss, I'm not saying you should cuss, but if you're going to cuss their enemies out. They released that phone call to do just that, and it worked. So my point is, they want them to be doing things in private to where we don't know about them, but there's just some things that the public don't need to know about. There's a lot of things the public don't need to know about, because the public reacts the way the public acts, which is crazy. Texas Air. They act like they are acting like they're they're acting like they're breathing Texas air, right, Gloria? I'll amen myself on that. And Stephen, I'll agree. Whoever needs to leak that should have been put in prison. You doggone right, they should have, because that was a personal phone call. I hope there is a personal phone call. And folks, I don't know. Gloria says, no, Chris, it's not. It's not. I love you Texans, Gloria. I love all you Texans, I promise. I love you all. I enjoy the Texas air, actually. I'm glad it's not 100 degrees out here. I'm actually glad it's raining and cloudy, because I've been out here when it's 100 and plus, and it's not good. And again, folks, most of you, we're going to wrap this up. But all our Texas fans, I'm grateful to be here with you. I hope we get to see some of you before we leave this week. Seriously. I can't explain the Ukraine thing with Graham no more than I can explain, again, Trump's wavering on Israel here a few weeks ago. I don't know that, folks. I can't get inside these people's head. I just pray, as I close tonight, my biggest concern for Lindsey Graham is his personal soul. I just pray that he was truly saved. I do. And I pray he met Jesus, and he's in heaven. And when I see him in heaven one day, by the Lord's help and grace, I will shake his hand and I will thank him for his service to this country, because he served this country faithfully for 30 years. And it cannot be understated. I lost 11 followers on X when I posted this. People got upset because people hate Graham. This is just people. This is just the nature of individuals that have no class or character. Lindsey Graham had a net worth of $1.7 million. Folks, over 30 years, that's nothing if you're in Congress that long. Trump is almost like Graham. He was almost a trillionaire, billionaire, and his wealth has gone down since he's been the president. He's never taken a salary. How can Graham only have a net worth of $1.7 million and a shyster crook like Marjorie Taylor Greene stay in Congress for just 5 years? 5. She had a net worth of $35 million when she got out. Now, you go figure that out and try to explain that one to me, because I don't know. That's another thing I can't explain to you. Look at the Obamas. Look at the Bidens. Look at the wealth of Nancy Pelosi. And then you look at somebody like Graham. And again, I read all these comments, these snarky comments out there on X about Graham's character and Graham this and Graham that, and he was a slime ball, and he was this and that and the other. Well, let me tell you something. If Lindsey Graham was a slime ball, I would hate to see what you thought of real slime balls. He didn't get things right with Ukraine, folks. And let me remind you tonight, no politician gets everything right, even President Trump. I don't think if Jesus Christ was to be in office that some of you would be pleased. You'd still find something wrong with Jesus. You'd still find something to complain about. I'm not talking about my chat audience. I'm talking to the audience beyond me that will listen to this on replay. This country, folks, gripes and moans and complains about its leaders. And we're going to wind up getting the leaders. We're going to keep complaining, and God's going to put leaders over us that we deserve. That's going to yank our freedom from us, and then we're going to really have something to complain about. We don't even got nothing to complain about tonight. We need to be praying for these folks. I'm praying for Mitch McConnell, but I do not believe he needs to be in the Senate. They need to make him resign and give that seat to a functioning person that can make a vote with a clear and sober mind. And it's on John Thune to do that, and he's not going to do it because he knows what's going to happen if he does. He loses his power. But Christians, it shouldn't matter whether the guy ahead of you or over you has got a D or an R. We should be the same. We should be the same. And I'll leave it at that. Listen, thank you for being with me tonight. Gloria, Texas air is great. The Texas air is great. I will see you guys sometime tomorrow. Bible students, I won't see you in the morning. But we'll check with Telegram. We'll have a few things for you over there. But we'll be back here tomorrow night, the Lord willing. Now, should events change, we may not be here tomorrow night, but we'll try to be here 1 or 2 more nights this week. And we thank you for your understanding, because we're here for a special reason in the state of Texas. And it's a young man who happens to be the youngest son of Christopher Wayne McDonald, Airman Caleb Joseph McDonald. He's going to be that in 2 days at the latest. Congratulations to my son. I'm looking forward to seeing him and giving him a big old daddy hug, and he's going to get a big one. Listen, God bless you out there. God bless your families. God bless this great nation of America. Pray for your country, folks. Pray for each other out there. Love each other. Have a good night, everybody. Be blessed, and I will see you back here tomorrow at some point tomorrow, and then definitely Thursday. Have a good night, everybody. Good night.